One man, one Murloc, one giant angry badger. This is Blue Please. It begins now. Yes, indeed, folks. Welcome to Blue Please here on WoW Radio with myself, Total Biscuit. The date today is the 28th of August, 2009. It is 8 p.m. Yes, indeed. 8 p.m. BST. It's 3 p.m. EST. In other times, it's other places. Other places, it's other times. And you are listening to the one, the only, the majestic, the masterful, the magical Blue Please. What do I have coming up for you in the show today? What don't I have coming up for you in the show today? It's probably the better question. So much stuff! You know what? I like BlizzCon, even if I didn't get to go. I love BlizzCon. You know what the reason I like BlizzCon? I've got like 3 months of content, and that's assuming they do nothing else between now and then. 3 months! I've got so much content, I have no idea where to start. But I'll give it a shot. I'll sort of dip my hand into the hat, see what I pull out, and the first thing I pull out is Cataclysm as a concept. We'll be talking about when the reuse of content is okay and when it is not. That'll be coming up a little bit later on. Also, a focus on endgame content. 4 raids at launch. And that makes me so happy. It really does. Awesome. We're talking about that a little bit later on the show. Also, a new way of leveling. The Path of the Titan system, plus a smaller level up from 80 to 85. A curious choice, but something that I view as particularly cool. We'll be checking it out a little bit later on the show. Also, of course, your chance to contribute to the show by emailing themurloc@gmail.com with the illusion of choice. At which point I will shatter your illusions of choice by picking only one. Yes, indeed. And you will go home dejected, forlorn, and thoroughly forgotten. Well, maybe not. We'll see. That's not all, however. Oh no, it is not. Let me introduce you to a concept, right? This is something we're going to be launching over the next couple of weeks. And indeed, Octel and Hordak, if you've been listening, have already launched it. It's going to be an official part of the website. And this is something we've been trying to do for a while. Obviously, with our guys doing so much work on the station, we want to try and reward them for that. And we try and do so through the use of our advertising revenue. Like, we'll give out Employee of the Month prize and stuff like that. But we've had a ton of emails over the past couple of years asking if there's any way that they can directly contribute to the show hosts. Maybe, you know, they just don't want to contribute to the station or whatever. And that's cool, because you know what? The station's doing fine on advertising revenue at the moment, so that's really cool. But to be honest, though, it's your guys' responsibility that you know, it's you are the guys who got us there. As I'm stumbling over my words for no apparent good reason. You are the guys who got us to that stage. You made us popular enough so that we could support ourselves through advertising revenue, so that's great. And even then, you still donate to our BlizzCon donation drive, so that's fantastic. So what we're doing is we're introducing an entirely optional system on the website. This is something you can start using right now if you wish, called the tip jar. And again, you'll have heard about this on Octel and Hordak. And what this allows you to do is throw your spare change in the tip jar to show your appreciation of a particular host and show. Now, of course, again, this is entirely optional. So no one is sort of press-ganging you into using it by any stretch. It's just a way to be nice and just sort of give back to the guys who give so much to everybody. And I do mean all of the hosts. They all work incredibly hard to bring you shows every week, and it's nice to give them a little bit of incentive and just, you know, chuck a coin in the tip jar and a little nice little note that says, hey, you did a good job and I like what you're doing. You make my week just that little bit more pleasant and a bit more bearable. So we're opening up the tip jars. Octel and Hordak have already opened up theirs, so I'm going to be opening up mine via PayPal. And if you do, for whatever reason, wish to throw some cash into the tip jar, you can PayPal totalbiscuit@gmail.com. That is totalbiscuit@gmail.com. That is the Blue Please in Gaming the System tip jar. Again, entirely optional, and we appreciate every single little tip that you leave. It's always nice to see that our work is appreciated here. It really is. Yeah. And that's not just a case of saying, oh, well, you should appreciate our work. You're lucky to even have your ears graced by our presence. No, it's not the case at all. We are very, very, very appreciative of our audience. We're actually quite humble, you know? Through this act, we're really, really humble people. Honest. Really, even Octail. He really is. Just speak to him in real life. Now, of course, I don't expect you to do so without a little bit of incentive in return, so I decided I would up my game a little bit. And I thought, well, Blue Police has been doing really, really well so far. No, it has. The Season 3 of Blue Police has been doing great, without any features or whatsoever. We've just been doing the good talk show, the good shock jock stuff. That's what people enjoy. But a lot of people have asked for the return of some of the old features. So I decided that in return for opening up the tip jar, I would up my game and try and convince you that this show is worth your spare change. And the way I'm going to do that is by bringing back 2 features on a permanent basis. Yes, indeed, a permanent basis. They will become part of the show forevermore, until the show inevitably dies in a ball of fire. And the first feature I'm going to be bringing back goes by the name of Ask the Murloc. You may remember it from the Epic days, and indeed from the Blue Police days before that. Not only that, but I'm going to be providing you with something very special that I cooked up over the course of the week, and that is it's a 9-minute audio story. And that audio story tells the tale of how the Murloc came into being. It's a bit of a recap for those of you who maybe have forgotten the whole backstory behind this character. It's a primer for those of you who have never, ever been introduced to this horrendous anti-hero that goes by the name of the Murloc. We'll be playing that a little bit later on the show, and a bit of a bonus for you. You are going to be able, over indeed the course of as many shows as I continue to do, ask the Murloc yourself. Yes, indeed. By sending in your questions in audio format to themurloc@gmail.com. Yes, indeed, themurloc@gmail.com. You can ask whatever question about WoW you wish, and the Murloc will provide you with an answer. You can get to be on the show, and you can get the Murloc to perhaps eat you and flay you alive, as he tends to do. It's entirely optional. If you want to do it, go for it. You can email themurloc@gmail.com with your questions with the subject line Ask the Murloc. Now, the second feature that is coming back on a permanent basis to attempt to entice you into throwing your change in the jar. Yes, indeed. I am a consumer whore. And how? What can I say? I will do anything for money. Well, that's not remotely true, but I'll do a lot of things for money. The second feature that's coming back is something much missed, something that a lot of people seem to like an awful lot, and it goes by the name of Nubcake News. And with the swathe, the swathe, the swerve, whatever the hell you want to call it, of content that is coming our way thanks to BlizzCon, there's an awful lot of stuff to parody. So I've got one sitting in my playlist right now, a 7-minute Nubcake News, an Ask the Murloc, and the Ask the Murloc Redux Primer with some backstory, some original content about the Murloc. She'll tell you what happened after his great adventure with his cousin, and of course before that, and how he came to be. Hopefully that'll amuse you all. Now, any concerns that this will overwrite some of the content of the show and say, oh, well, he'll be talking less? No, because I'm extending the show for 15 more minutes. Yes. 1 hour 45 is the new length of Blue Police. Oh, yeah. An hour 45 of fantastic content into your eardrums, courtesy of WoW Radio, WCRadio.com, blah, 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 blah. Right, now I've got that out of the way, I've stopped panhandling, we can get on with the show, I think. I would like to tell you about something cool that one of our community members has put together. It's called the WoW Radio Notifier, and you can check it out by going to tinyurl.com/WCRNotify. Yes, that's tinyurl.com/WCRNotify. What does it do? Well, it's a handy little thing that sits on your desktop and shouts at you when WoW Radio shows are coming on the air. It will give you information on when archives are available. It will give you information about when shows go on and off the air. It'll pop them up. It's really, really handy. It does a whole bunch of other stuff as well. You can download this program from WCRadio.com, on the forums, or the handy-dandy TinyUrl, which is tinyurl.com/WCRNotify. You should go check it out. It's by forum member Erivitas. It's very, very good. It's well worth checking out. Tiny little application. Well worth it. Right, now that we've got that out of the way, it's time to inflict upon you, as always, this.
That sounds like it's mail time. Here's the mail.
It never fails.
It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes,
I want to wail.
Yes, indeed, it's mail time, folks, and I have one here. It's a little bit of a wall of text, but I feel I can get through it, because it's kind of a gloating email. Now, never let it be said that I'm not an egotistical maniac. It's true, of course I am. I am an egotistical maniac, and I'm quite happy to accept that title. So, every time I get a pat on the head email, or concession email, that's always great. This is from Eragast. And he says this: Greetings TB, Eragast, the level 80 Belf Holy Pally, exit our server, just writing in to apologise. I thought you were overreacting regarding the 3.2 badge changes, and now that it's been live for a while, I've come to agree with you. Although I consider myself a casual player, I raided pre-patch occasionally with guilds on both factions on my server. Both guilds were in Ulduar, and I got through a riot. After the patch hit, interest and participation took a nosedive on both sides of the fence. I tried to jump on the bandwagon and pug heroics, but all the pugs seemed to be full with Death Knight ults, looking for easy gear, and none were tanks. Then, when people started doing Nax again, I saw it. Warlocks with the gear to take down Malagos, doing less than 1k DPS on Grobulus. Geared DKs unable to clear 1.2k DPS, and when the raid leader politely told these players to get some enchants and gems and study their class, they quit the guild out of indignation. After all, he had the nerve to suggest that they might not be able to do Nax if they couldn't meet minimum standards. So I went back to do PvP, after watching the Horde lose Wintergrasp over and over because a catapult and a dwarf pally named Yosemite Sam is all it takes for Alliance to get the southern towers down. I decided to go to BG's. I tried Alterac Valley, which resulted in 20 Horde standing around staring at the Alliance General because no one could tank him. I tried Warlock Gulch, Warsong Gulch next. There, after grabbing the flag and running towards a group of Horde, only to have them watch as 4 Alliance gang, I can't say that on air, me, I decided to call it quits. Like I said, I'm a casual player who raids. I would like to think I'm doing exactly what the patch was aimed for. I'm that kind of player. But if 9 or 24 other players are going to depend on me showing up and doing my job for them to succeed, I'm going to do the best I can. It's no different than playing in a casual soccer league. It's fun to play, but much more fun when you play well and win. And now I'm not even interested in re-rolling an ult. I have a bank full of cheap bind-on-account heirloom items, and I might as well wait for the expansion so I can do any race I want, any class I want, and never do any old Desolus or Stranglethorn Vale again. The game has tons of good, competent, skilled players. I know many of them, and they have my respect, but I feel more and more like the character in the movie Idiocracy, who stands above the crowd not because he's anything special, but because the society around him is dumbed down to the point where they lack even the most basic skills for survival. I don't mean to be insulting to other players, but rather point out that people produce results based on the system they participate in. WoW is now a game where you can be successful without any real skill in playing your class, so people no longer take the time or effort to learn how. So TB, I hope you saved a spot on the bench for me, because I'm joining you. Let's hope the new expansion offers enough to come back in the fall of 2010. Best regards, Eragast. Well, yeah, don't say I didn't say so. You can't have a system whereby you have such a low barrier to entry that even the most bumbling buffoon can participate, because they will expect. They pay their $15 a month. They have an expectation. They are entitled. This is why we call them entitled casuals. And to this point, it's more like entitled scrubs. I pay my $15 a month, so I'm entitled to see all the content. Yeah, well, you're not. And you know what? This system with the badges just gives them even more reason to say, well, I want to go too. And then quit the guild out of indignation when they're told no, they can't because they suck. How terrible is that? How terrible. It's awful, isn't it? Who would support such a system? I cannot imagine. Well, at least Cataclysm's coming up, and hopefully we'll destroy most of these scrubs in the fire that they're going to wreck Azeroth with. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Now, a quick email here, just before I got the break, from Sillarin, level 18 Night Elf Warrior. He says this: Dear TB, in the last episode, the Ranticalism, you said that new races were not real content. While the races themselves aren't, the new starter zones are. They have new quests, monsters, and places to set your Hearthstones. Wow, a new place to set your Hearthstone. Mummy, Daddy, will you buy me the new expansion for only $65,000 US? I want a new place to set my Hearthstone. I want new skin monsters that do exactly the same thing. I want new interpretations of the 4 basic quests with new writing on them. Isn't that all technically new content? No, it's not. It's pathetic. It's not technically new content. Why can't you understand? Oh, I don't understand. I can't fathom it. If you want new content, then why don't you just take those zones and make them endgame zones? Then everyone gets to play them without having to re-roll an alt. That's content. You don't have to put new races in as an excuse to create new zones. I mean, God's sake, look at Cataclysm. It's not doing that. There's tons of zones in Cataclysm that are not going to require you to roll the new races. So why couldn't they have just bundled up the others and made them all like that? If you're going to have new races, just stick them in blinking Valley of Trials, whatever. The goblins washed up in the Valley of Trials. Yeah, that would be good. You're listening to Blue Please here on Wild Radio with myself, Tall Biscuit. It's not time for features yet. Oh no, you're going to have to wait. It is time, however, for Epic Metal. Yes, I did just say... Epic! Ghost Division. Enjoy.